First contact. The Kurdak, a fierce reptilian species, had long considered themselves the apex predators of the galaxy. With their advanced technology and merciless hunting instincts, they subjugated countless worlds, enslaving or exterminating any life forms they encountered. Earth was to be their next conquest, a primitive blue planet ripe for the taking. Warlord Zerkoth, the most ruthless of the Kurdak commanders, led the scouting mission to assess Earth's defenses. His massive warship, the Dreadmaw, sliced through the vastness of space, closing in on the unsuspecting human world. On Earth, a young astrophysicist named Dr. Lena Verk was working late at the Kepler Array Observatory when an anomalous signal caught her attention. The signal originated from just beyond Neptune's orbit and was unlike anything she had seen before. Lena quickly alerted her superiors, and soon the news reached the highest levels of Earth's governments. As world leaders debated how to respond to the potential first contact scenario, the Kurdak scout ship continued its approach. Zerkoth studied the data streaming in from long-range scans, his reptilian eyes narrowing with predatory anticipation. The humans appeared weak and divided, their primitive weapons no match for Kurdak might. This would be an easy conquest. Aboard the International Space Station, astronaut commander Ava Novak watched with growing unease as the alien vessel drew closer. She had trained for countless emergency scenarios, but nothing could have prepared her for this moment. Ava knew that the fate of her planet hung in the balance. Lena Verk worked frantically to decipher the alien signal, hoping to find some way to communicate with the approaching ship. As she delved deeper into the complex data patterns, a chilling realization dawned upon her. This was no peaceful greeting. The signal carried an unmistakable aura of malice and hunger. On Earth's surface, chaos erupted as news of the impending alien contact spread like wildfire. Some called for immediate military action, while others advocated for cautious diplomacy. Amidst the panic and confusion, a small group of world leaders convened an emergency summit to formulate a response. As Zerkoth's warship loomed ever closer, Commander Eva Novak steeled herself for whatever lay ahead. She knew that the coming days would test humanity's resolve like never before. The battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. The invasion begins. The Kurdak wasted no time in launching their assault on Earth. Warlord Zerkoth gave the order, and dozens of sleek, predatory warships descended upon the planet's major cities like a swarm of locusts. The aliens' advanced plasma weapons tore through humanity's defenses with terrifying ease, leaving destruction and chaos in their wake. Millions perished in the initial onslaught as the Kurdak established footholds in key strategic locations across the globe. Earth's militaries, caught off guard by the sudden attack, struggled to mount an effective resistance against the technologically superior invaders. Amidst the carnage, small groups of survivors banded together, determined to fight back against their alien oppressors. One such group was led by Sergeant Lena Graves, a seasoned combat veteran with a knack for unconventional tactics. Lena had been visiting her family in Chicago when the Kurdak struck, and she watched in horror as the city crumbled around her. Gathering a ragtag band of survivors, including her younger brother Max and a former NASA engineer named Dr. Ethan Reeves, Lena set out to wage a guerrilla war against the Kurdak invaders. They scavenged weapons and supplies from abandoned military outposts, always staying one step ahead of the alien patrols. As news of Lena's exploits spread through the resistance network, other groups began to take heart. They saw in her a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. Lena's team became known as the Ghosts, striking swift and hard against Kurdak targets before fading back into the shadows. Meanwhile, in orbit, Commander Ava Novak and her crew on the International Space Station watched helplessly as their homeworld burned. With no way to contact Earth's surface, they could only monitor the alien fleet's movements and relay what information they could to the scattered resistance cells. Dr. Lena Verk, having narrowly escaped the destruction of the Kepler Array Observatory, joined forces with a group of surviving scientists at a secret underground facility. Together, They worked tirelessly to analyze captured Kurdak technology, searching for any weaknesses they could exploit. As the weeks turned into months, the human resistance grew stronger and more organized. Lena Graves and her ghosts became legendary figures, inspiring hope in the hearts of those who had lost everything. But the Kurdak would not be easily defeated. They were apex predators, after all, and they had never known defeat. Warlord Zerkoth grew increasingly frustrated with the humans' tenacity. He had expected them to submit quickly, like so many other species before them. Instead, they fought back with a savagery that matched his own. Zerkoth vowed to crush this resistance utterly and grind humanity beneath his heel. The stage was set for a desperate struggle that would determine the fate not only of Earth, but of the entire galaxy. The Kurdak may have been apex predators, but they were about to learn that humans were a force to be reckoned with when their backs were against the wall. Adapting to the enemy. In the secret underground facility, Dr. Lena Verk and her team of scientists worked around the clock, analyzing every scrap of Kurdak technology they could get their hands on. Piece by piece, they began to unravel the secrets of the aliens' advanced weaponry and armor. Lena's breakthrough came when she discovered a critical weakness in the Kurdak's energy shielding. By modulating the frequency of human weapons to match that of the alien shields, they could effectively bypass the Kurdak's defenses. It was a small advantage, but one that could turn the tide of the war. Armed with this new knowledge, the resistance cells began to coordinate their efforts. Sergeant Lena Graves and her ghosts launched a series of daring raids on Kurdak supply depots, stealing weapons and equipment that Dr. Verk's team could modify. The modified weapons proved devastatingly effective against the alien invaders. For the first time since the war began, human soldiers could go toe-to-toe with Kurdak warriors and emerge victorious. The resistance grew bolder with each passing day. Warlord Zerkoth, enraged by his troops' losses, demanded answers from his subordinates. How could these primitive apes be besting his superior forces? Zerkoth resolved to take matters into his own hands and crush the human resistance once and for all. Meanwhile, in orbit, Commander Eva Novak hatched a daring plan. Using the International Space Station's maneuvering thrusters, she plotted a course that would bring the station dangerously close to the Kurdak's command ship. It was a desperate gamble, but one that could change the course of the war. On Earth's surface, Sergeant Lena Graves led her team on their most ambitious mission yet, infiltrating the heavily guarded Kurdak warship. If they could seize control of the ship's weapons systems, they could turn them against the alien fleet. The mission was fraught with peril at every turn. Lena and her ghosts battled their way through hordes of Kurdak warriors, their modified weapons evening the odds. In a final, desperate push, they reached the ship's bridge and engaged Warlord Zerkoth himself in hand-to-hand combat. Zerkoth was a formidable opponent, his reptilian strength and speed far beyond anything Lena had ever faced. But she fought with the ferocity of a mother lion defending her cubs, driven by the knowledge that humanity's fate rested on her shoulders. Just as Lena seemed on the verge of defeat, a brilliant flash lit up the sky. Commander Novik's gambit had paid off. The International Space Station collided with the Kurdak command ship, the impact sending shockwaves through the entire alien fleet. In that moment of chaos, Lena seized her chance. With a final, desperate effort, she drove her combat knife into Zerkoth's neck, piercing his tough scales and severing his lifeblood. The mighty Kurdak warlord fell. His reign of terror ended at last. The tide had turned. Humanity had shown that it could adapt, innovate, and fight back against even the most formidable of foes. The Kurdak, once thought to be unstoppable apex predators, now faced an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. The war was far from over, but for the first time, victory seemed within reach, turning the tide. With the Kurdak command ship crippled and Warlord Zerkoth dead, the human resistance seized the opportunity to strike back against their alien oppressors. United Earth military forces, bolstered by the Resistance's modified weapons and intel, launched a coordinated global counterattack. Dr. Lena Verk's team had developed a new line of energy weapons based on reverse-engineered Kurdak technology. These weapons, more powerful and efficient than anything humanity had possessed before, proved to be a game-changer in the battles to come. Sergeant Lena Graves and her ghosts played a crucial role in the counteroffensive, sabotaging Kurdak communication hubs and supply lines. With each successful mission, the aliens' grip on Earth weakened, and human forces began to reclaim lost territory. In a daring raid on a heavily fortified Kurdak base, Lena and her team discovered a trove of information about the aliens' invasion plans. They learned that the Kurdak had been unprepared for the ferocity of human resistance and were now struggling to adapt to Earth's diverse terrain and environments. Armed with this knowledge, Earth's military leaders devised a strategy to turn the planet's own geography against the invaders. They lured Kurdak forces into dense jungles, scorching deserts, and treacherous mountain ranges, where human soldiers could use their superior knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. In the ruins of shattered cities, human resistance fighters engaged in brutal close-quarters combat with Kurdak warriors. The aliens' advanced technology was less effective in these chaotic, close-range engagements, and human ingenuity and tenacity began to win the day. Dr. Ethan Reeves, the former NASA engineer who had joined Lena's team, developed a system of improvised traps and explosives that could be created using common household items. These devices proved invaluable in urban warfare, allowing human fighters to level the playing field against their technologically superior foes. As the Kurdak's losses mounted, their supply lines began to falter. Cut off from reinforcements and resources, isolated pockets of alien troops found themselves surrounded and outmatched by human forces. Sergeant Lena Graves became a living legend among the resistance, her exploits inspiring hope and courage in the hearts of every human soldier. She led daring missions deep behind enemy lines, striking at the Kurdak, where they were most vulnerable and sowing chaos in their ranks. In orbit, the remnants of the Kurdak fleet struggled to maintain their hold on Earth's skies. With their command ship destroyed and their ground forces in disarray, the alien commanders bickered and fought amongst themselves, unable to mount a cohesive defense. The tide had well and truly turned. Humanity, once on the brink of extinction, now held the upper hand in the war for survival. The Kurdak, these self-proclaimed apex predators, found themselves in a fight they had never anticipated. A fight against an enemy that refused to submit, refused to give up, no matter the odds. But the war was not yet won. The Kurdak were a proud and ruthless species, and they would not accept defeat easily. Earth's forces knew that the final battles would be the most desperate and brutal yet. They steeled themselves for the trials to come, united in their determination to reclaim their world and secure humanity's place among the stars. Apex no more. As the Kurdak invasion crumbled, the alien forces made a final desperate stand in the heart of their last remaining stronghold, a sprawling industrial complex that had once been the backbone of their war effort on Earth. The battered remnants of the Kurdak fleet hovered menacingly above the complex, poised to unleash their destructive might upon any who dared approach. Sergeant Lena Graves led the assault on the alien fortress, her ghosts joined by a vast army of human resistance fighters and regular military forces. They stormed the complex's perimeter, their advanced energy weapons cutting through Kurdak defenses like a hot knife through butter. Inside the complex, the fighting was fierce and bloody. Kurdak warriors, driven by desperation and the knowledge that they had nothing left to lose, fought with a savagery that even Lena had never seen before. The corridors and chambers echoed with the sounds of battle, the sizzle of energy weapons, the roar of explosions, and the screams of the dying. Lena pushed forward with grim determination, her eyes fixed on the central command bunker where she knew the last of the Kurdak leadership was holed up. She had vowed to end this war once and for all, to ensure that humanity would never again be threatened by these would-be apex predators. As Lena and her team fought their way deeper into the complex, they were met by a familiar figure, Zerkov's second-in-command, a massive Kurdak warrior known as Gurzak the Unbreakable. Gurzak had been left in charge of the Earth invasion after Zerkov's death, and he was determined to avenge his fallen leader. Lena and Gurzak clashed in a titanic battle, their weapons forgotten as they engaged in a primal, hand-to-hand struggle. Gurzak was larger and stronger than any Kurdak Lena had faced before, his scales as tough as tank armor. But Lena fought with the indomitable spirit of humanity itself, the same spirit that had carried her people through the darkest days of the war. In a final, desperate move, Lena seized a piece of shattered metal and drove it into Gurzak's eye, piercing his brain. The mighty Kurdak warrior fell, his lifeblood pooling on the cold concrete floor. With Gurzak dead, Lena and her team burst into the central command bunker. There, they found the last of the Kurdak leadership, a group of haggard, beaten aliens who knew that their cause was lost. Lena demanded their unconditional surrender, and seeing no other choice, they complied. The news of the Kurdak's surrender spread like wildfire across the planet. In cities and towns across the globe, people took to the streets in jubilant celebration. The war was over. Humanity had emerged victorious against impossible odds. In the aftermath of the conflict, the Kurdak survivors were rounded up and imprisoned, their advanced technology confiscated and studied by human scientists. Earth began the long, difficult process of rebuilding, its people forever changed by the crucible of war. Lena Graves and her ghosts became the stuff of legend, their names etched into the annals of human history. They had shown that the apex predators were not, as the humans proved themselves to be a species of determination and courage. As humanity turned its gaze towards the stars, they did so with a newfound sense of unity and purpose. They had faced the worst the galaxy had to offer and emerged stronger for it. No longer would they be prey for any would-be conqueror. The Milky Way would learn to fear the name of Earth, for it was now home to the most formidable predators of all. The indomitable human race. The apex had fallen, and a new era had begun. The end. Let me know if you would like me to make any changes or adjustments to the story. I enjoyed creating this HFY sci-fi adventure and hope it captures the spirit and themes you were looking for.